Today we're looking at a new tree, a Chinese elm, which if you haven't worked it out already, I bought it online. So let's get this box open and see what it looks like. As you can see, it's very well packaged and looks very healthy as well. I bought it from Amazon, maybe it was eBay, I don't know, but it was about 15 quid. I really wanted one and this seemed to be the cheapest way to get it. It comes with a little drip tray, which if you look closely has a crack on the bottom, but I don't really care. I don't need this and I won't be using it. Let's look at this tree, which is actually the first bonsai I've ever bought. Normally I just buy nursery plants. It's very well wrapped up, which is exactly what I want to see. So let's have a closer look. And there you go, a broom-style Chinese elm from Amazon. My first impression, it needs a lot of work, but I'm pretty happy I finally own an elm. Look at the base of the trunk, it's a total disaster. I don't even know where to begin with it. But anyway, it's in terrible soil, so let's get this mess repotted. Obviously it's in leaf, which is pretty annoying as I can't do any work to it. But I bought it in spring as I knew it would need better soil, and I know I can get a way of changing it now. So let's get it out and see what's going on in here. I'm not really getting my hopes up. Well, it came out pretty easy, but the amount of roots in there is just insane. That is a very full root ball. Started by raking the soil out, as it just needs to go. It's just like that cocoa peat stuff, so it's really not going to be ideal in my wet climate. After raking for what felt like hours, I was finally left with this. What can I even say? Just wow, this is a disaster of a root ball. This is the type of tree people buy as beginners, and I'm not surprised they have so many issues and end up killing them. These roots are terrible. I'm going to wash the roots. Normally I wouldn't, but I really want this crappy soil off the roots. Now you can start to see how bad they really are. The annoying thing is I can't do anything to them right now. I think the plan is going to have to be just to leave them and then air layer off the top section in a few years. The amount of work to get these under control is just going to be too much. It really doesn't help that the trunk splits into two main roots at the base. So it's like a upside down Y, if that makes sense. You'll see it better later on. I don't think these can be fixed without just using an air layer. Anyway, let's get this potted up. I'm just going to use this larger pot, but I don't need it to be so deep, so I'm just going to cut the top off. Here is the soil I removed. It's just that pure, damp, cocoa, compost, peat stuff. I'm sure it has its uses, but I really don't want it anywhere near my trees. So let's get it potted up. I just removed two little roots that were like really high up the trunk, almost like aerial roots. And then I didn't touch anything else. I just potted it up in some good soil. And apparently I didn't realise that red pot was in the way. But I think you can kind of see what's going on. I'm literally just adding a tree and soil at the same time in the pot. And here we are after. You can see its full glory. More importantly, you can see what a disaster the trunk and root base is. You can literally see right through it. But you know, it was £15, so I can't really complain. In May, it's actually starting to lose some leaves. My guess is that it's been grown in a greenhouse, and it's just having a little shock at now being outside and in my environment. This is exactly why I bought it in spring. If it was going to have any trouble, now is the best time of year to have it. I'm not at all worried about this. It should rebalance itself and bounce back in no time. In June you can see a bit more clearly that it's losing leaves. You can start to see through the tree due to gaps in the foliage. But like I said, I'm not worried, this is totally normal. In July you can see it's exploded with growth, so it's obviously settled in now. The structure is actually really bad. It's hard to explain. Basically, all the branches come from the same place, but they've all been bent out to make it look like it's a very full tree with branches everywhere. In August I was very tempted to trim it and sort out the branching, but I thought it was better to just wait. When you get a new tree, it's better just to leave it alone for a year. In September you can see it's gone crazy, but it's pretty much stopped growing now. It'll be a lot of fun in winter to get in there and trim everything. In October it started to drop a few leaves. These can be semi-deciduous, so it'll be interesting to see exactly how many leaves it does drop. In November it's still pretty green. It's definitely stopped growing though. If I bring you in closer you can see how crazy the growth has been and just what a mess it actually is. I think here you can't even actually tell how bad it is. And here's the trunk again in case you'd forgotten how bad that was. I know some of you are looking at this and wondering why I let it grow out and lose all its shape. Well, it didn't actually have any shape, it was just branches bent around to make it look like it did. It was just living a lie. So I'm just letting it do its thing, then in winter we'll sort this all out and build the structure properly from scratch. And here's a close-up of a leaf turning yellow. It's quite nice. So February has arrived, which means it's time for some serious work before spring starts. As you can see, it's pretty much lost all of its leaves over winter, so I can actually see what's going on. Started by just trimming everything back. Then I can work out what needs to be kept and what doesn't. There's a lot coming from the same place, so there'll be a lot of thinning out happening. There's a lot of T branching going on. I know it's a broom style, so it can be close together, but this is just not done right at all. So it's going to be best to just take it back hard and keep what I can and just start again from almost nothing. And here's what I was left with. So pretty extreme. But I think it looks worse than it is, simply because that base of the trunk is so awful. In March it looks like nothing has happened, but it's actually covered in buds now. If I bring you in, you can start to see them forming. Again in April, it looks like nothing is really happening. But if I bring you in closer, you can see those buds are really swelling now. In May we have leaves everywhere. Not only on the branches I cut, but also all over the main trunk. It is back bud like crazy. In June it's shot out like mad. All these shoots have exploded with growth. So basically now I need to go in and remove a lot of them. The whole point of the winter pruning was to get rid of too many branches in crazy places. So I can't just leave these, as it'll be an even bigger mess than it was before. So I removed everything I didn't need, and now we should only have the branches left that I want to develop. So I'm going to let them grow out this year and thicken up a bit. In July it's looking really healthy. But remember, I haven't touched those roots, so they are really helping out right now. I was tempted to prune it this summer, but I think it's better to just leave it and let it thicken up a little. This tree has been rushed in the past, which is why I have to pretty much start all over again with it. So I think it's time to slow it down. Here in September it's finished growing. I'm super happy with how vigorous it was this year. I'm not sure when I'll air layer it, but maybe next year I'll start working on branch structure. You can see here it's looking pretty good in there. And here we are now. Quite a long video, but I think this tree is going to take a long time to get where I want it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.